Hello, twisted humans.
Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting?
Then this is the podcast for you. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Sierra, and this is
Twisted and Uncorked. Welcome to our second round of Halloween specials, Twisted Humans. Today is Sierra's episode. Woo woo. If you have not already checked out last week's episode, please go do that now. We had lots of fun with Botox with Big Jim podcast, and we were pretty out of this world in terms of our costumes, so definitely go check that out too. And today we are rocking our regular old Halloween costumes. We got
These
Tina
are
Belcher.
actual Halloween costumes for Halloween this year.
Yes, Sierra and her whole family are going as characters from Adventure Time, which is just fucking awesome. And she is dressed up as Marceline the Vampire Queen.
Let me show you my guitar. That's the best part.
Yes. For the gram, for the YouTube. Oh my god, she made that, guy. She's talented as shit. And if you're just listening to this and you want to know what we're talking about, go check out our YouTube channel and have a peek, or go follow us on any social media platform and you can watch Sierra aggressively pull out her fake teeth.
Jesus, that was in there. Gosh dang.
You have to boil it to mold it to your tooth, so that makes sense.
Yeah, it was really in there.
Right. So yeah, guys, this is lots of fun. And if you don't know who Tina Belcher is, she's from Bob's Burgers. Yeah, I got my erotic friend fiction ready over here. And I committed to the bit. I colored a barrette yellow.
What does that mean?
She writes erotic friend fictions. She's just a weirdo.
Okay.
And Kevin finally figured out why I lay on the floor when I want attention, because Tina does that too. So I had to color it because apparently when you go to a store, every color barrette exists except for fucking yellow. So commitment, guys. We love Halloween if you didn't already know that. It's episode 38. Holy shit.
We are going.
Right? Just doing the damn thing. Do you have a fun fact for me though, Sierra?
I do. I found a fun fact in my book called Unsolved Mysteries of the Past, Quest for the Unknown by Reader's Digest.
Love it.
So I told you, I think maybe it was yesterday, that of all the divinations in the witchy world, astrology is just one that I've never really gotten into. Zodiac signs, all that stuff.
Which I think is funny because you struggle like the rest of us when Mercury is in retrograde, which is
that for sure. For sure, I believe 100% in Mercury retrograde, as well as like moon cycles, like the moon sign, like if I'm gonna go, I have this app. Hang on, let me see what it's called, because I forget.
And Sierra was just telling me, because tonight is a full moon, that she's got her crystals all in her windowsill and her moon water, and she's ready to go. So
I use an app. Sorry, go ahead. Finish.
No, I was just going to say, for our listeners, if you want to recharge your crystals as well, tonight is a good night to do that. Or this week, rather. Or last week, rather. Sorry.
Look out for the next full moon.
Maybe use this app that Sierra's going to tell us about.
Well, this has nothing to do with that. No. So I use an app called CoStar.
Okay.
And I also use The Pattern. Both of these apps, you have to put in your day and time of birth, and it tells you things that are happening based on the stars and whatnot for yourself. What I never really got into was, all Virgos, read this. This is going to help you. Because, there's way too many fucking Virgos. Me and Ted Bundy should not share what's going to happen to us this week. You know what I mean?
Ooh, I don't like it when you put it that way.
Right? I just don't, I never believed in that stuff. But I found a fun fact that states why maybe I should believe in it.
Okay.
So, this says, to test the validity of astrology, researcher Edmund Van Dusen charted the relationship between the date of birth and professions of 163,953 individuals in the United States and Canada.
So
He
just a
found,
couple people.
right? He found there were indeed statistically significant correlations. Librarians tended to be born in Libra, bankers in Virgo, lawyers in Gemini, and army officers in Leo and Scorpio. So, like, in 163, almost 164,000 people for, like, their sign to all be similar, if there's more than one Libra, they were similar. If there was more than one, it's fucking crazy. That's so weird to me.
No, I getcha. I mean, I listen to, it's like a 2-minute podcast every morning. And it's whatever your astrological sign is today. And it tells you where all the planets are that day. And, how it could be affecting you. Things that would help maybe motivate you. Relationship stuff. Like, it's broken down like a traditional astrological sign. But because it happens every day, it feels so much more relatable to, like, what's happening in the universe, I guess. So
yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it. I mean, I feel like every time I see a Virgo thing, I'm like, yeah, for sure, that's me. I'm a fucking introvert who sometimes tries to be extroverted, but really I just want to sit home and not talk to people. And, like, I'm a super perfectionist.
yeah,
and,
but, like, look at me and Kelsey, like your old co-host. Me and her are both Libras, and we are so different.
Right. Not all are the same. So that's why I never, if I see something that's like in the newspaper, like, Virgo, this is you today. I'm like, nah, I'm going to go with the one that charts my time of birth, my exact day. Like
a neonatal chart.
Yeah. I feel more, I feel it's more personalized that way.
I like that.
But it's the fun fact is still super interesting that
Yeah.
it wasn't, based on time. It was just based on their sign.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I do. I like it. I mean, I could see myself as a librarian.
Right? My sister's a banker and she's a Virgo.
Makes sense.
So, boom.
Yeah, I was going to say you're good with finances. That checks
I
out.
do like finances.
She's got a serious
Like
budget
it a
working
lot.
out, guys. Impressive.
This entire row right here of books is finance books. So,
Nerd.
there's that.
Yeah, no, I can see it. And we love books and I love organization, so right up there with librarians, I guess.
Right?
Works for me. There was one other, like, okay, I'm going to send you the site that I did, like, my neonatal thing, like the time you were born, the date, everything like that, where you were born, things like that. And it prints out like 20 pages about you. And it's wild.
Jesus. Yeah, that's what. So on the pattern and CoStar, you had to put in all that information. And every day it tells you, like, for the next 3 months, you'll experience something that has to do with this and this and this. You're only in this for, and every day you go on, it's like only 5 more days of this cycle. And then you'll be moving on to the next one. Yeah. I love it. It's really cool.
Send me the
app,
name of it.
both of them.
Text it to me
pattern
so I don't forget.
And CoStar.
My fun fact for you is about one of your favorite candies.
God, what is it? Is it candy corn?
Yes.
Is it that it used to be chicken feed?
Fuck off.
I love me some candy corn.
I know, she knows what's up.
Tell it.
Though many would argue that candy corn tastes like chicken feed, that's not how it got its original name. It was created in the 1880s by George Reniger, and it was sold to the masses by what's now Jelly Bean Co. at the turn of the century. Because corn is what used to feed chickens, the creation called chicken feed, and the box was marked with with a colorful rooster. And, the colors are pretty on brand with chickens. Orange, red, and white. So it used to be called chicken feed.
Yeah.
I know, last time I targeted you with your Kit Kat bar. I'm sorry.
Listen. I like candy, okay? Especially
I love candy
corn.
too. I love candy too. I hate candy corn. That is where you and I are different.
A lot of people hate candy
what
corn,
the fuck?
and it's fine, but I love it.
I can't be trusted to drink a beverage, as it turns out.
Do you have caramel on that or chocolate?
So
Let's get into our drink, why don't we? So what you're supposed to have.
It's caramel with a tiny bit of chocolate because Kevin was supposed to bring home caramel for me from the restaurant and they don't have it anymore. So he melted, one of my caramel chocolates and rimmed my drink for me. So it works.
Well, that is the sweetest freaking husband I've ever heard.
You're like,
that's
that
amazing.
Doesn't look like the right color.
Yeah, no, that's not the color of mine. Here's mine.
Yes, yours is definitely more caramel-y looking.
I watched a TikTok video of, I don't think it was Drinko with Rico, but it might have been, because I know for sure I follow him because he makes amazing drinks that are actually sent in by listeners. But there's another, Drinko with Rico, yeah. But there's another guy who started doing it, and I think it might have been his, but someone told him if you mix apple cider with kissed caramel Smirnoff, it tastes exactly like a caramel apple. And so that's what we did. Plus, obviously, more alcohol. Last week's wine, which was the Oak Leaf Vineyards.
Yes.
And it fucking tastes like a caramel apple. It's amazing. It's
delicious. I put apple slices in it for garnish and a cinnamon stick, just for shits and giggles. But it is delicious.
I kind of wish I would have put a cinnamon stick in it. That's the one thing that I noticed missing? As soon as I took a drink is, well, not even that it's missing it. It just tastes too much like a caramel apple to me. And I don't really like caramel apples too much because they're super sweet.
Balance it out with a little bit of spice.
Really sweet. Yes.
I hear ya.
But it's fucking good.
Yeah, so guys, when in doubt, you can melt caramel chocolates and still have a delicious rim out of it.
Jeez Louise.
And, I got my twisted and uncorked wine glass. If you would like one of these, you can sign up to be one of our patrons. And you can get one of those. Yeah. Enjoy. We got lots of fun content. And before we get into Sierra's story, just a reminder, we need like one more listener story to be able to do Listener Stories Volume 3. So send it in. We keep getting like one at a time. And Emily, what up, Emily? Your story is going to be in there. You sent it a couple months ago, and we appreciate you so much. We're just building up a little story case. Nothing horrible has happened to Sierra lately, thank God. So, did you just
caught
catch
a gnat in my hands, and I don't know what to do with it. I wonder if it's dead. I don't want to open my hand and it just fly away, and then I got to do it again. What do I do?
Like a ninja just snatched it out of the air. Is it dead?
It died. Yeah. If you hear gun violence in the background, that's just my husband playing video games.
Sierra is not under attack.
Today, my story for you, my Halloween special. This is the last episode before actual Halloween. So this is going to be a little bit about Halloween. I decided to do some information. This whole episode is kind of like a giant fun fact.
If you guys were wondering why we've been holding out all month long.
Right? I mean, there's a fun story at the end, too, but a lot of this is going to be Halloween related.
I love it.
So, I think we all know that Halloween is always on October 31st, and kids, usually under a certain age, go out and ask strangers for candy. Literally what we tell children not to do all year long. Don't take candy from strangers unless it's Halloween. Then they literally knock on the doors of random strangers and asks for candy. Seems kind of strange. But Halloween wasn't always just for kids, and it wasn't always called Halloween. So let's get into it. Before Halloween was so popularized, and before it was even a thing, almost every culture in history had their own Halloween-like days, and many still do. Mexico has Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, which is celebrated from November 1st to the 2nd. At midnight on October 31st, or really early in the morning, November 1st, the spirits of deceased children come down to join their living families, and on the night of November 1st, or the morning of November 2nd, the adult spirits join as well. These 2 days are spent honoring and remembering and talking with those deceased family members.
I find Dia de los Muertos, beautiful.
Me too. It is literally one of my favorite cultural holidays, and that's why I did so much information on it. The rest of them don't really have that much information. Sorry.
I love it. And the way that they celebrate is super fun. Lots of colors, lots of makeup. I love it.
It's amazing.
We'll have
In
to
the
do a girls' trip
Philippines?
to Mexico when it's happening one day.
Heck yeah. In the Philippines, people go door to door asking for prayers for their deceased family members that may be stuck in purgatory.
Oh.
In Hong Kong, a festival is held to give offerings of food and money to the spirits who are becoming restless and beginning to roam the earth. This helps keep them at rest. In India, there's a 16-day event of spirits being quote-unquote allowed to roam the earth and spend time with their families. In Poland, the living family members visit the graves of their deceased and bring candles and flowers and offerings while they pray. In Nigeria, they celebrate their dead for up to 6 months once every 2 years. They believe their deceased family come to visit for these few months, and so they host a feast and party for them. And in Italy, on November 1st, it is called All Saints' Day, or Ognissanti. Members of the community place flowers on graves, even for people they don't know, causing the cemeteries to be vibrant with color. And then they put a red candle in the window to invite their deceased loved ones into their home, and they set a place for them at dinner.
That's kind of beautiful, but are you possibly inviting people that are not your family members when you do that?
Let me tell you about it. I'll get there. There are so many more holidays around the world, but I just wanted to point out to show that everyone celebrates their dead in different ways. But in America, now that we have Halloween, we don't really have a day to celebrate our dead. We have a funeral, we maybe go to their gravesite at random when we're missing our loved ones, but we don't celebrate them. Which is so strange because Halloween stems from the Irish and Scottish pagan celebrations of Samhain that has evolved over time. Samhain, spelled Samhain by the way, was a festival held at the start of the dark season, which usually lasted a few days starting October 31st. This is when the days of the year start to get shorter and colder. Crops start to die, and people start to die as well. But in having good spirits, no pun intended, this was not a time when pagans were sad. This was a time when they celebrated all that had been given throughout the year and hoped for more goodness to come. October 31st was New Year's Eve for pagans. This is when everything started all over. Yes.
That's really cool.
So on what we now call Halloween night, the last day of their year, the veil between the two worlds, the world of the living and the world of the dead, was at its thinnest, and spirits walked the earth. Celtic pagans believed that some spirits were good and some spirits were bad, and there were different traditions for appeasing both good and bad. For the good spirits, the spirits of your family members, they'd set a plate setting for their family members and talk with them at dinner. The kids would play games so that the spirits could watch and see how happy they were, and the adults would talk about all the good things that had happened to them in the past year, reminiscing on their thankfulness. It was called a dumb supper. Dumb meaning that the spirits couldn't talk back to them, which obviously not politically correct now, but that doesn't change the history.
Yeah. That's still really cool, though.
Plan on doing this with my kids this year.
Oh,
super excited.
Love it.
Some pagans were also able to communicate with good spirits and actually hear them talk back. At the bonfire parties that they had, they'd speak with the good spirits in order to tell the fortunes of others. A fortune teller would ask the good spirits, for example, if a certain family would have a good crop year or not, or if a young woman would find love in the coming year. For the bad spirits, Celtic pagans would sacrifice crops and animals into the bonfire. By the way, this doesn't mean they just throw animals into the fire. They had already planned. I mean, the carcasses went into the fire, but they already planned on eating this animal. It had already been butchered. It was like ready for meal. But now, instead of eating the meal themselves, they gave it to the spirits.
Really glad you clarified that because I was real horrified for a second.
This sacrifice was made in order to try and turn the bad spirits into good spirits, to appease them.
Okay.
Sometimes the sacrifice was made to the druids or the gods as well, and they asked for a good crop year. Here's some food, please, help me have a good year. Some of the bad spirits just couldn't be appeased, though. They would cause mischief and play tricks, maybe even try to ruin the crop season for the farmers. To hide from the bad spirits, Celtic pagans would wear guises, or costumes, to make it harder for the bad spirits to notice them as living people. Mostly, they'd dress as animals. I guess bad spirits were animal lovers and wouldn't harm them.
I guess.
But eventually, the guises changed to anything that made you look not like yourself. This is where Halloween costumes come from.
Ah.
Also, as a part of their celebration, pagans would go door to door to ask for offerings, usually of cake, to leave for their deceased loved ones at dumb supper. And in return, they would sing a song and pray for the loved ones of those who answered the door. So like Christmas caroling, but for treats for the dead.
Okay.
So you can kind of see how the things have evolved to what they are today. Dressing up in costume to disguise yourself so that you aren't noticed by the spirits who are walking the earth because the veil is thin. But if you look like a spirit or a monster yourself, then the people whose door you are knocking on need to ask you, are you a trick or are you here for a treat? But you'd think that the people answering the door would be the ones asking trick or treat, right? Like they're the ones who need to know. Weird.
That's weird how we've evolved to
Yes.
the children or too old to be trick-or-treating teenagers saying it.
Oh, I'll get there. Samhain went through a lot of changes to become Halloween that we know today. Obviously, Christians came in and killed for God, because that makes sense. And for a little while, it was changed by the Pope to All Saints' Day, and it was moved to the month of May so that the pagan tradition could be completely erased. They preached that people should still honor the dead at this time, but they would be honoring the dead Christian saints, not the spirits of their family members, because it was selfish not to give all your thoughts over to the white man. I mean, to the Christian faith. I roll, sorry.
I was like, am I supposed to laugh? Because that was funny.
Even with All Saints' Day being moved, every October 31st, people continued to be scared of the bad spirits and dressed in guises and asked for offerings for their loved ones. So the Christians got a new idea. The name now was changed to All Hallow Mass, translated to All Souls' Day, from, I think, Latin? Whatever the fuck they spoke way back then.
I think everything is translated from Latin, really.
Right.
So it's probably a good guess.
So they said All Hallow Mass, but it's All Souls' Day is what it means. And they put it back near Halloween time on November 2nd.
Okay.
And you could still dress in costume, but you're supposed to dress up as saints, angels, or devils. You know, the Christian stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I sound like the mom from, or not even the mom, the aunt from Drop Dead Gorgeous. You know, like,
yes.
The Christian stuff.
Oh, crap.
Oh, crap. So the day before All Hallow Mass was All Hallows Eve, right? Mm-hmm. So it was technically November 1st. But then, over time, slang and shit, fucking twerk is in the dictionary now. People just started saying...
it is not.
You didn't know that?
No, I'm
okay,
really
not
upset
only
about it.
is twerk in the dictionary, irregardless is in the dictionary. The definition is regardless. Who the fuck did that? Why? Why did...
Because so many people were saying irregardless,
Yes.
even though it was not a word.
Even though it's
so
the
they
same
just made it a
fucking thing
word.
as regardless. Anyway, Halloween came from All Hallows Eve. So Hallows Eve, Halloween. Yeah.
And also twerking in irregardless.
Yes. Same way. When people began to migrate from Europe to America, specifically the Irish potato famine time, Halloween was the name of the day. the traditional Samhain celebrations started to come back because the Native American culture. Native Americans celebrated the harvest and the crops just like the pagans used to. So Halloween became a time to party and share offerings and share stories about their dead loved ones, at least to the people who weren't fucking awful and tried to kill Native Americans. As time went on, I got to it eventually. Many Irish immigrants came to America due to the potato famine and brought in even more of the old Samhain traditions, including the trickery.
A potato famine just sounds so sad to me.
I know, right?
After we
Potatoes
just went
are
on a
my
rant
life.
about how much we love potatoes.
Yeah.
Continue. I was just like...
So, as I mentioned in the beginning, some of the bad spirits had this trickery-like thing. They would ruin crops and whatnot. And so when the Samhain tradition came back, because the Irish people came over to America, they were like, yeah, did you know that the bad spirits might fuck with your crops? And so by the late 1800s, kids, and probably even adults, had heard the stories of Samhain from the Irish ancestors of pagans, and people were using Halloween as a day to pull pranks and get away with it. They were acting as if they were those bad spirits from the old Samhain beliefs.
God damn it.
Right? Why you gotta fucking ruin it for everybody? Okay?
Yeah.
Many older...
out of this.
Right. Many older people, probably Christians, were annoyed by the Halloween trickery. And so the holiday slowly transformed into a day for only young children. Adults didn't party much anymore. They started staying home to watch over their property to catch the bad kids in the act of pulling pranks. And they also held community gatherings on the night of Halloween for all the kids. They had games and basically little friendly, not-so-spooky festivals for the kids. And if you were a good kid and stayed under the supervision of the adults and didn't pull pranks, then they would give you some candy. And by the 1950s, all the pranksters had grown out of it, and all the newborn children had been taught that Halloween was nothing spooky or grotesque. It was just about asking strangers for candy. Insert horror films. In 1978, the movie Halloween was released, and Halloween was scary again.
That old?
1978, yeah, the first one.
Damn.
People started learning again of the old ways, and tricksters have come about again, but at a much lesser degree. It's all in good fun now. I do wish that it was a little more about honoring the dead, and I kind of wish it was a little more about being scared of the bad spirits. It irks me when people don't dress up for Halloween at every age. My parents used to always dress up with us kids and still do when they go to Halloween parties now. So I'm used to adults who dress up. Jesse practically hates dressing up. I always have to convince him with a simple or funny costume. But dressing up in costume on Halloween could save your life. And I would tell you how after this quick commercial break. Be right back. If you don't want to listen to commercials, then you can just join our Patreon for $1 a month, and you'll have a commercial-free episode. Welcome back from our break. We are going to get into the spooky story now that we know all of the history of Halloween.
Yes.
/ Samhain. As we have just learned, it is Irish and Scottish paganism that warned us that the veil is thin on Halloween. And it's great to get to speak with your deceased loved ones, the good spirits, but there are those bad spirits roaming about as well. One of those bad spirits, according to legend, is changelings.
Oh.
Have you ever heard of changelings?
Yes. Well, briefly, but please tell me.
A changeling is a human-like creature from the fairy realm. Fairies are not like fairy godmothers or like Tinkerbell. Fairies, sometimes just called the other, are almost exactly like humans, living just like us, but on a different plane. A plane of existence that is parallel with ours, but not the same. The other world. So they're living side by side to us, but we can't see them. They're spirits, and they're very tricky. Think Coraline and the Other Mother.
Coraline was exactly what came to my brain.
Yes, that is based on changeling tales. Not all fairies are bad spirits. Some are just normal or as nice as us, humans. But not all humans are good either. And having these creatures acting so much like humans and not being able to see them, well, bad things can happen. Especially on Halloween when the veil is at its thinnest. Most of the time, children are the targets. But sometimes it happens to adults too. Fairies kidnap humans. They take their souls to their own plane of existence and allow fairy souls to take over the human body in our world. The fairy souls that take over the human bodies aren't just any fairies, though. They're oafs. They're usually disabled in some way, mentally or physically, and these are the changelings. The fairy that took the human did so because they prefer the human to the changeling. Stories of changelings in Irish culture were present since before even written word. But things started to get really serious and scary after Catholicism was introduced to the country. The stories spread from fairies just wanting children to fairies wanting children who were unbaptized. Obviously, this was an added scare tactic from the new religious players to the game. But with or without religion, children were in danger and being tortured. To protect the kidnapping of children by fairies, mothers would protect their babies with things that fairies didn't like. Iron, salt, Christianity, which is strange because they only wanted unbaptized children. I don't know. Anyway, iron, salt, Christianity, running water, and messes or unkemptness.
Okay.
These are the things fairies didn't like. If you want your child to not be taken by a fairy, according to Catholic legend, let's just be honest, then you should put iron, salt, Christianity, running water, and messes near them. Many parents would never leave.
You should put that near them?
Yes, because the fairies didn't like it.
Oh, so
yeah,
because
so
I
the
was
fairies
a neat
wouldn't
freak
come.
as a Catholic child, I was more prone to being snatched.
Yes. Many parents would never leave their baby's sight. Helicopter parent, for sure. Someone would have to be looking at them at all times. But if they ever did leave the baby alone, they would leave a pair of iron shears open and unkempt next to their sleeping child to scare the fairies away. Super safe, right? On Halloween, they'd rub salt on their baby for extra protection. And for the wealthy family who had the choice, they built their homes near a stream or another running water source. So like a fucking moat around their house. Fuck these fairies.
Love that.
Not everyone took precautions. There are multiple cases of mothers suspecting their children to have been stolen and replaced with changelings. If their child cried for too long, didn't grow correctly, had deformities appear after birth, ate too much, got a sickness that was unknown, or just acted differently, these were all signs of the child having been stolen by fairies and replaced with a changeling. And worst of all, the family who is in the presence of a changeling will never have good fortune. They only bring bad luck. So basically, if you have a normal fucking child as a changeling. Okay, anyway. After the suspicion set in, there are many remedies to get rid of the changeling and get the human child back. Most of them involve pissing off the changeling or hurting it enough for it to leave the body.
Oh no.
Sometimes throwing the child into a fire or the oven would cause the changeling to escape the human body.
Excuse the fuck? What?
And then the fairies would bring back the child's soul. I told you this was a sad story.
I'm so stressed out right now. Don't throw your children into the fire, people.
Other ways of pissing off or
Jesus.
hurting the changeling includes placing a shovel into the fire until the metal turns red and having the child sit on it, beating the child with a whip,
Oh my god.
performing an exorcism on the child,
No.
forcing the child to eat foods that fairies are known not to like, such as garlic, bathing the child in poison,
Okay,
or,
do the garlic thing, guys.
or feeding the child the poison.
What the fuck?
In
The
each-
garlic one is the only one that's okay.
in
And
each
most
case,
kids don't like garlic. So.
Yeah. Well, as soon as they don't like garlic, they're like, oh, you're a changeling, you must die. In each case, the remedy is given to the child until the changeling leaves the body, causing the human form of the child to become dead or unconscious. And then the fairies supposedly bring the human child's soul back to its body. And in legend, that is what happens. But in every case of this happening in real, documented life, obviously, the body, the human, dies. The most famous real-life case of this happening was in 1895. Michael Cleary and his wife,
Cry.
probably by the end. There's so many bad ones.
All right.
Michael Cleary and his wife, Bridget Cleary, were living well off for the times. This is 1895. Michael had always been the breadwinner, but the newly invented sewing machine had made an impression on Bridget, and now she had a little at-home job. She's like a little Etsy maker, you know?
Good for her.
She
Get
could
it?
make clothes to sell to others and for herself. And her creations were causing her style to change. Michael noticed and was probably, at least subconsciously, threatened by his wife's success, happiness, and fucking hotness.
Oh.
When she came down with a sickness, probably pneumonia, after a long year of harvesting and sowing, her husband suspected that she must not be herself.
Oh,
She
good
must have been taken by the fairies and replaced with the changeling. Michael tried many different remedies to rid his wife's body of the changeling. He tried quote-unquote herbal remedies that probably consisted of some sort of poison. He had a priest come in and perform an exorcism. He tried feeding her foods that a changeling wouldn't like, even though she clearly had a sore throat from her illness and just wanted milk. Milk being something that fairies loved. And he even tried burning her in the fire.
Oh my god.
The whole time he tried to rid his wife of this changeling, multiple people, friends, family, and neighbors, were there to help him. Eventually, the body of Bridget Cleary was left lifeless. And so Michael and his helpers took her burned and bruised body to the forest to wait for the fairies to bring back the real Bridget Cleary. They never did. Bridget's body was discovered by other community members, and Michael was arrested and set to stand trial for the murder of his wife. His helpers all testified on his behalf, but not everyone believed in the legend of the changelings. In the end, Michael was charged with manslaughter and sentenced to 15 years, while 4 of the helpers were also charged with wounding Bridget and served very short sentences.
Wounding. Okay.
There's actually a song now, sung by Christians, of course, and it's like a nursery rhyme, and I don't remember if we talked about it on our Patreon bonus about nursery rhymes, but it's something about, are you a witch, or are you a fairy, or are you the wife of Michael Cleary?
You did.
it's
You did sing it.
Talking
Yeah.
about this, yeah. In more recent years, the same strange feeling happens to people who believe that their loved ones are not really them anymore. In one case, a 40-year-old mother no longer believed that her 9-year-old daughter was really her daughter. She would show up to her daughter's school, but refused to pick her up, yelling that she knew this wasn't her real daughter and she wanted her real daughter back. Obviously, the daughter was sent to foster care because the mother could not provide anymore.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
In 1999, a 28-year-old man killed both his brother and his mother, believing that they had been replaced by imposters. In New York in 2009, a man slashed the throat of his wife on a running trail, claiming that something was inside her and it wasn't his wife anymore. In New Orleans in 2014, a father was sent to trial for decapitating his own disabled son. But over and over again, when he was arrested, he was adamant that it was not actually his son. And in 2017, a mother in Texas stabbed to death and then decapitated her 5-year-old daughter after having seen shadow people in her home, recently thinking that they had gotten to the little girl.
Oh. You know what this reminds me of is that case that just happened in California. That dad that kidnapped his 2 kids and killed them in Mexico.
Oh,
because he believed that they were like not his kids, or they would cause like a serpent outbreak.
Yeah. Some QAnon related shit or something.
Yeah, it was QAnon related, but still.
Yeah.
Your kids are your kids. You're supposed to protect them. Ugh.
In all of these cases, the defense of insanity was brought up, and in some of them it was granted. For those few, the suspects were diagnosed with Capgras syndrome and sent to a psychiatric treatment facility. There we go. Capgras syndrome is a delusion similar to Alzheimer's, but instead of not knowing who someone is, they believe that a person who they should know and have known is actually someone else now and is pretending to be the person they once knew, much like changelings living inside the body of our loved ones. It is so much scarier when these legends leak into our real life world. So, to end my depressing and creepy story, let me just say, mental health is so fucking important. Take it seriously. And protect yourself from changelings and other bad spirits this Halloween by wearing a fucking costume.
Get on our level, guys.
Yes, and now, because this was very sad and depressing, I actually inserted the most popular Halloween costumes for adults, because I assume only adults are listening to this. Number 1.
If you're a child, turn this off immediately.
You should turn this off a long fucking time ago.
Yeah, we missed the warning. I'm sorry.
Yeah. A witch is number 1. Fucking obviously.
Hell yeah.
Every year, this costume is on the most popular list. It's super easy to dress as a witch because all you really need is a hat. Witches wear whatever clothes they want to. And if you want to know history about the witch's hat, go to my Instagram page. Boom. Twist Sierra. Number 2 is a vampire. Another super easy costume. Wear gothic clothes and some fangs. Hi. Add some blood to be super spooky. Number 3 is a ghost. This costume got popular again in 2020, I assume because people couldn't go out and get accessories. The popular version of this costume for adults right now is the easiest version. People wear a white sheet with eye holes cut out. That's it. This costume is popular. Fucking white sheet. Do it. Number 4 is a cat. This is the first and only animal on the list for adults, but even pagans used to dress as animals. Maybe dressing like an animal is the best way to keep bad spirits at bay. Even spirits love animals.
Go back to our episodes on Glennon Engelman to see me as a cat.
Yeah. And number 5 is a pirate. Probably the most involved costume on this list. You can probably still DIY it with a trip to the thrift store, though.
Absolutely.
Speaking of animals, by the way, you can take extra precautions to keep them safe from bad spirits on Halloween by dressing them up too. The most popular costumes for pets are a pumpkin, a hot dog, a superhero, a cat
Adorable.
when it's not a cat.
That's
hilarious. And a bumblebee.
Aw, I tried to put my wig on Thumper earlier. He was not happy with me.
I actually have pictures of pet costumes to add to this Instagram post because it's so sad. So, we're going to add pictures of pet costumes.
To lighten the mood.
To lighten the
ones you
mood.
want. Yeah.
And that's my story today. Happy Halloween /
That was great.
Samhain.
That was great.
Thanks.
Nailed it.
A little
Nailed
spooky.
it.
A little informational.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
There was no way we were going to tell the same thing, so there you go. Thank you so much for that. That was super cool. And
I'm glad you liked it.
Remember to dress up, guys, and dress your pets
Fucking
up.
wear a costume, okay?
Okay? That's just the only way to go.
It's the only way.
Again, get on our level. And remember to leave a 5-star rating and review if you enjoyed this episode, which you know you're dead because you're listening right now.
Yeah.
And we love you guys lots. We will see you next Tuesday for a new episode. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook has been inactive because I am hacked. I'm sorry, guys. TikTok and both of our social medias. Little Alicia and Twice Sierra. So, yeah. Do it up, guys. Come follow us. Come hang out. You can also check out our Patreon for lots of fun bonus stuff. Send in your listener stories. And what day is it, my friend?
Today is October 26th. And on this day in 1916, American sex educator Margaret Sanger was arrested for obscenity, being she was advocating for birth control. So, cheers to Margaret Sanger. We love her.
Yeah, jeez.
Fuck the patriarchy.
Yeah, poor Margaret. Jesus. We love you guys a lot. We will see you guys next week for a new episode. As always, thank you for listening. And in the meantime,
keep it twisted.
Thank you for listening to Twisted and Uncorked Podcast. Remember, if you like the show, to go leave us a 5-star rating and review. We couldn't do it without you guys. Now stay tuned to hear about another cool podcast.
Welcome to Castles and Cryptids, a comedy podcast brought to you by a couple of Canadian chicks. I'm Alana.
And I'm Kelsey.
Do you want to know the difference between a Sasquatch and a Yeti? Can you tell an urban legend from a cautionary tale? Follow us down the rabbit hole to find out.
We love all things cryptic, conspiracy theory, or unexplained, and the truly horrifying, our own bloody history. Join us for monsters and murders, and probably a tangent or two.
All that and more on Castles and Cryptids, Sasquatch repellent not included.